Thank you very much. Welcome yet again to this another episode of Business Chronicles, and it's hosted here. My name is Solomon Tumwesi. I'm one of your hosts here at Studio 84, and Studio 84 is a podcast space, built and put together to facilitate individuals, organizations to tell their stories and along the way position themselves as authorities at whatever they do, for we believe that everyone is an authority at something. Today, I am honored with pleasure to host a lady very experienced. She likes to refer to herself as an old woman, old school. I disagree, not with her energy. Sheila Kawamara, please introduce yourself. Tell us, I've had some people refer to you as honorable. You will tell us. Please introduce yourself to your viewers and listeners.
Okay, thank you so much, Solomon, and good morning, good evening, or I would say thank you to our viewers first of all.
Yes.
And my name is Sheila Mishambi.
Yeah.
And I've been around for quite some time.
Yes.
Maybe going to 6 decades. So that is being around for quite some time, really.
No way, Sheila.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm a teacher by profession.
Yeah.
Formerly also a journalist by profession. And as a journalist, we are always journalists.
Yeah.
I've been a woman activist, and that one also, you are a woman activist forever. In this country, at one time, laws and systems didn't favor women.
Yeah.
And we had to change that narrative. And I'm so proud that our daughters are getting a better deal
Yes.
than our mothers, that is their grandmothers, and the deal we were supposed to get. So some of us resisted getting that deal.
Yes.
We've had a relatively good deal. And as a result, for the resistance we put on, that is post-1986 resistance.
Yes.
There was a resistance in this country. So after the 1986, there was another resistance.
Yes.
That was the women resisting oppression, resisting anything that put them down. And some of us were part of those who were in the trenches. And as a result, I think we've built a better society. We've built more respect for women in this country. We managed to get into politics. So I was in the East African Legislative Assembly.
Yes. Makes sense now.
Yes.
Sheila, you I know we are here to talk about the celebration for World Adoption Day, but then you mentioned something that gets my attention when you talk about women resistance. I was about to go down that road of are the women overdoing it lately? But then that we shall come back to that sometime.
Yeah.
Sheila, it's World Adoption Day, week, month. Say something about World Adoption Day, and then we get into our conversation.
Yes, on November 9th.
Yes.
The world celebrates the World Adoption Day.
Yeah.
That is celebrating children in adoption.
Yes.
And it is internationally recognized. But and so on Saturday, which is November 9th, 2024, we will be celebrating the World Adoption Day here in Uganda. And it shall be, the celebrations will be held at Nakawa, that is Makerere University Business School.
Yes.
That's the grounds we are going to use. And we will have the children currently in care institutions, but also children that have been adopted, adults that were adopted and have grown through the times, and children that were never adopted but later became adults.
Yes.
And they are living with this stigma of having no family to fall back to, because these are people, human beings that came into the world in our country, Uganda. They were taken over in care institutions, and they grew up in care institutions up to the age of 18, when they are declared adults and thrown back to the streets and told, now you're an adult, you can fend for yourself. But remember, you're an adult without a tribe, without a clan, without a family,
lineage that you know
nothing.
of. Yes.
So those are also there, and it is so traumatizing when you go through it. So the World Adoption Day, we are using this as a platform to
Yeah.
be able to sensitize Ugandans that much as we celebrate ourselves for having very solid families, solid clans and tribes, there are people out there craving to belong to a family. And so adoption should not be looked at as a curse.
Yeah.
I am an adoptive parent
Yes.
with a son who is 14, going to be 14 years now.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, when I'm with my son and they say, that's my son, you get these eyes of, are you sure? When did you get that son? Or
Did your husband bring him?
who
You
is
know, those
he?
things.
Yes, exactly. And how do you bring him into our setting?
Yeah.
Do you know his lineage?
Yes.
What about his blood? Their
Yes.
blood, these babies, their blood is not blue, it's red.
Just like all of us.
It's like all of us. So we get a lot of questions. There's a lot of stigma around adoption. People thinking these kids must be cursed. How could their parents have thrown them? I always get people asking me, oh, are you sure he doesn't have a spirit of rejection? I don't know how many of us carry around the spirit of rejection, because once in a while you go to a minister's office and they tell you you'll not see the minister.
Sheila, the spirit of rejection is a way of life if you're in business.
Exactly. For us who are in business, we know that every day you are rejected.
Exactly.
So how do you carry that spirit of rejection? And now you think that those babies have that spirit.
I know.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about children who have grown up in the system, so to say, and they have turned out to be some people in society, and I takes a miracle. It's nothing short of a miracle. I was listening to someone recently, and they said for every criminal out there that you see, for every person that you see out there that is not living, the law and things like that, was once a child who was neglected, was once a child who had no family, who was not told what to do or shown the way of life, the proper way. So what you guys are doing is definitely, we cannot undermine it in any way. It's good work, Sheila. But we watch the adoption system and all that, and we watch it on TV, watch it in the movies, watch it in documentaries. Someone would first take a step back and say, do we even have a system here in Uganda? Do we, Sheila?
Yes, we do have an adoption system, and unfortunately, it is not something that is out there for us to know about it.
Yes.
Until those of us who went through it, that's when you really realize that, oh my God, there is a system. It is clearly outlined. And so, like, if somebody decided to adopt a kid,
Yes.
of course, you'd have to go to a care home where these kids are. And unfortunately, again, most of us who want to adopt, you want the baby, so that you bring up the baby according to how you want that baby formed into. So there are those who now are 3 toddlers or 4 years. Sometimes people don't want to take them home. When they're 8, they're still kids. They need family, but nobody wants to take them home. So you find that the system, it will tell you, okay, you want a baby, or why you make an application. So once you have applied, they'll tell you, we need a letter from the LC to know that you're an upright citizen. We need, where do you pray? Get us a religious leader to show that really this person, I know this person.
You're upstanding in society.
Yes, and maybe another reference. So once you get those, then the police now starts investigating you.
They do a background check on you.
The background check, Interpol has to know you are not a criminal, you're not trafficking this kid or whatever. Then the probation officers come in. Are you somebody who won't abuse this kid? When this kid comes in, all this takes some time.
Yes.
Months back and forth, and whatever they tell you, now we are coming to check on this, now we are doing this. And so the system is actually there. Even after the baby comes home, They will follow up. The probation
Really?
officers will continue coming to your home. In my case, I adopted my son in 2011, and that time it meant no, you get the kid and foster it before the adoption. The adoption is done in court, in the court system. So once the kid is given to you, at that time, we used to foster for 3 solid years.
Wow.
Then now you apply to court. You engage a lawyer to represent you in court. That this kid, I want to take it on. We've understood each other. We are now bonded. I'm a mother and the child.
We get along really well, you know.
Really well.
Yes.
I think, to me, going to court was the most traumatizing part of my life.
I thought you'd be excited.
No, I have bonded with my son. He's my baby.
Oh, so now you stood at a place where he could be taken away from you.
Exactly. After 3 solid years, we are now I think we were in kindergarten. He's almost going, he was like, that time he was like, I think by the time I went to court, he was going to be 5 years. He's my baby.
Yeah.
And now we are going to be, the decision is going to be taken by a judge who is a stranger in our lives. And they have to re-advertise and say, does anybody know this baby, to see whether there is a family out there.
If there is a family,
Off
he goes.
Off he goes. So there are people whereby they wait and say, when my baby is put back, I will say it's my baby. And of course, the biological parents, once it's proved, somebody can say, I couldn't afford to look after my baby at that time. I'm sincerely sorry, but I want my baby back. So as a parent, you are in that kind of at a loss.
And 3 years of emotional investment out of the window.
And out of the window. So at that time, when you are in court there, you're like, oh my God, what is the judge going to say? Because the judge has to read, your lawyer has to represent you. This one, she's a woman of sound mind. She has the means, she would do this. But for you, you are thinking about your baby at home, who, once the judge bangs the table, is going to be picked.
Wow.
So that they hand over. So the judge listens to everything and he gets all, and then he rules. Once that ruling is done, that baby, the biological parents cannot come back. They've given up all their rights.
That's why it has to go through
That's
court,
why,
and
that's
all
why
this
it
stuff has to
go
be
through court.
done.
Yeah,
Wow.
because the biological parent will be losing their rights as biological parents.
Wow.
But after the child is 18 years and decides to look for the parents or get in touch with the parents, that's a different story. And that can happen because he's an adult or she's an adult and has a right. But the challenge is when normally we are emotionally attached, we kind of try to hold back. Because you see, when you get pregnant, everybody knows you're pregnant. There is social support. There is our culture is we celebrate with you. Now these days there are baby showers and everything. So people are there for you. Now adoption, it is the police. It is the care home. Maybe your immediate family, not even your extended family. You could tell your parents, and your parents are thinking, is she crazy? My son has children who need help. Why can't she choose one of my grandkids instead of bringing another kid? So you are like, should I tell them? Should I not tell them? You know, it is you. Now, when you bring this child home, everybody's like, is she crazy? Doesn't she know that we...
Did you not have people in your extended family to look after?
Exactly. And then you go and you know that these kids experience a lot of course, they are babies.
Yeah.
They can't know what's going on. But people will speak, even in your hearing. Oh,
yes.
That's the kid from the dustbin. That's the kid. These are the kids that you throw in pit latrines. Yeah? So the kind of stigma starts. It doesn't matter. I've had this in places, family gatherings. They're like, oh, you've seen that kid? Just look at how he's behaving.
That's not hers. It's the one she picked from.
Those are the kids they throw in on
Oh dear.
garbage bins. Those are the kids they do like that. So you are in that kind of transition. Should I tell them? Should I go to this event with my kid?
Yes.
Even if you're going to church, when they see the kid, you know how toddlers are toddlers, and they always they come out. Yeah. And when they are offered love, they will know I'm loved. So coming to hug my mom, whether you guys are watching or not,
Yes.
she's my mom. So now you grow up. And sometimes I think as parents, as adoptive parents, we go an extra mile. This kid, I can assure you, these kids, they have a lot of love. I think maybe because they are denied, and then there is a lot of compensation from us parents because we feel everybody is out to take on my kid, and I'm the adult here. I'm protecting my kid.
You have to protect them.
So sometimes
you're overprotective.
we overprotect them, and so as you go on, you get so emotionally attached. Then you say, "I can't tell my kid that I'm not the mother. I will never." Some people have vowed, "I will never tell my kid is adopted," because my kid sincerely, all our children, they are children. They believe we are the parents. Even us, we believed that the people they told us were our parents were our parents.
Exactly. So they will believe what they are told.
You believe what you're told.
Yeah.
So now it is very tricky. When do you disclose that I'm not the biological one, but I'm still your parent? So those challenges are there, and many of us now, as I was saying, when you're pregnant, you have all this social support around you. You come home, everybody celebrates with you. Now here you don't have that social support. You have instead criticism, stigma, people looking out for you and your child. And let's see where they go. Let's see where this
how
will
long
end.
this lasts.
This will last. So kind of it lasts, and you are now in a dilemma. When should I tell my kid? There are so many other things that come along the way. I remember when my son was around like 1 year, maybe 2 months. Then we had to rush to hospital.
Yeah.
He had a temperature at night. I get there and they're like, I say, oh, you know the panic you have as a parent. Then the doctors are asking me, is he allergic to anything? And I'm like,
You're like,
wait a minute, is he allergic? Because I didn't know whether he had any allergies. Yeah? And they say, how can't you know? And I'm like, now I have to disclose to the doctor. You know, he's my adopted son. And he's like, adopted? You know, you're already judged by somebody who is going to save the life of your baby. Oh, so you adopted this boy.
Now the conversation changes
You know
from
his
saving
parents.
a life or healing someone to this whole adoption thing.
Yes.
Hold on, Sheila.
Yes.
I want to take you back a little. You know those concerns of people side-eyeing you when you adopt a child are not unfounded. Many of those stories have ended in tears. So where is the delicate balance to accept what has happened in society? Many of us grew up in homes, with cousins, with orphaned cousins and so on, and we grew up together, and so on. But then later they turn out to be a certain way. Then you see or hear the parents blaming themselves. Maybe I didn't love this child enough. So those are the things in society. I'm sure you know those are the things that tend to bias people from taking in someone who is not of your flesh and blood. What do you have to say about that? I'm sure there's nothing you have not had in these conversations.
I've had a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I think these are very unfounded because I know children brought up in very solid families, very religious, some of them reverend kids. Their parents, they are canons, respected in church. And then they turn out to be those kids.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Many of those guys in Luzira, it's not that they all came from the
unsupported systems.
systems.
Yes.
Many majority came through.
Were raised in best way possible.
Yes, parents really invested in their love, their money, and everything. But we are just human beings.
Humans, yeah, there
Yes.
is no
And
straightforward way.
as God says in the Bible, they say that each one of us was created to run their race. They don't tell us which race will go up, which one is running downwards. So we were all created to run different races, and as things turn out, the stigma is again put on these children. You know, their parents rejected them, and I always say, I respect the parents for these kids. If these kids were not even possibly in certain situations, they are aborted, killed. Somebody decides to give birth and kills this child. Okay, some of them, of course, survived. Some of them do it really bad, throwing them in pit latrines. That is extreme. But others wrap them properly with all their clothing. And you see that this mother had love and goes and places it at a gate or for some well-to-do person and say, you'll take care of my child.
I am picturing myself waking up in the morning
And you have a kid on
and
your...
my gate guy is telling me there is a
There is a kid.
child here, and
It happens.
what do you even do?
Yes, it happens. They are taken to these care institutions. Some of them, and the care institutions, they put them at the gate.
You remind me, Sheila. Do you mind mentioning some of these care institutions?
Yes.
And also taking me to practically, if someone wants to adopt a child, where they need to go specifically. Basically, the detail of the system. Some of the care institutions.
Okay, in around Kampala, some of the care institutions that would come just off
Of head.
The oldest is Sanyu Babies Home.
Yes, in
That
Mingo.
has been there for ages, before all of us. I think the entire generation, the people alive today,
Yes.
were not yet born when Sanyu Babies Home
Oh, really?
created. Yes.
Wow.
It has a very long history in the early 1990s. So,
Is the founder still there?
no.
Oh, dear.
She's not there. So it has been here for ages. So this is not a new phenomenon where kids are put out there. There is in Zambia Babies Home.
Okay.
This is managed by the Catholic Church. There is Malaika Babies Home. There are several around Kampala. And they are all under the Ministry of Gender
Okay.
on Labor and Social Development.
Yes.
That's the mother ministry that takes them. And these babies' homes only take care of children from 0 years to about 4 years. Now, after 4 years, this child, who nobody has adopted, now goes to an institution. One of the institutions I can say offhand is SOS, Children's Villages.
Yes.
That is-
There's one that side of Entebbe.
Yes, yes. So SOS is one of those institutions that now take over these children to look after them with mamas or
Yeah, from around
a village.
5 years.
yes, from around 5 years to 18 years.
Yeah.
They cater for their food, accommodation, clothing, etc., all the basic needs. Then after the age of 18, by our
You're an
constitution,
adult.
you are an adult.
You're on your own.
Yes. And remember, our children, our biological children, at 18, you can't throw them out of the house. That's where the unfairness is. You tell this kid, you know what, you're an adult, get out of my house. We don't. We take on these kids.
Yes.
There are some 30-year-old
Yes,
men
yes,
and
yes,
30-year-old
yes,
women
yes.
still in their parents' houses, even now. And the parents are like, no, I can't let my child out there. It is harsh out there. I will take care of my child. And this guy is a man, 30 years, 40. You find a child saying, a big old man who should have his own home saying, you know, I'm going home.
I'm going home.
And it is his parents' home. But this 18-year-old is now told, you can no longer stay here. This is no longer, you're no longer a child, so get out there, fend for yourself. You have no parents, as I said earlier, you have no clan, no nothing. And these kids get out there. So the procedure of getting these kids now, as I had earlier said, you have to go through a structured system where now people start guiding you on what you need to do to get that baby.
So you go to the
You go to a
care center,
yes.
and then they guide you through the
They guide
system.
you through the system.
Who to speak to at the ministry, what forms to fill.
You don't go back to the ministry. It is they will tell you what to do from the home.
Yes.
Yes, and then from there you'll be guided. You go to the police. You go to what? So
the care home is basically the touch point for any adoptive parent.
Parents, yes, yes.
Okay. Sheila, you guys are doing a good thing. The theme this year is fighting, stigma and getting all this acceptance. What are you? Who are you anyway? Adoptive parents of Uganda. Who are you? This adoptive community.
Okay, we are adoptive parents.
Yeah.
But the theme is organized. I mean, the World Adoption Day is organized by a cross section of civil society organizations that are dealing with children's rights.
Yes.
We have the Uganda Child Rights NGO Network, CSRN, which is taking the lead together with a host of civil society organizations that really are concerned about the whole issue of adoption, the whole issue of children's rights.
Yes.
Saying all children have rights, equal rights, by the way. Whether they are disadvantaged, whether they have lifelong illnesses.
Yes.
Because that is a cause for abandonment of kids.
Yes.
Because
disabled or otherwise.
Kids, somebody, the kid is left out there, and then there is a discrimination at adoption because each one of us who says, okay, I open my home to one extra child, you find that we will even set conditions.
Yeah.
I want a child who is healthy, who is this. You find the girls are more likely to be adopted than boys because of what we have this whole thing about inheritance. So people are like,
I don't want them messing with my family.
yes. So you rather adopt a girl than at a certain
marry her off, get some cows and move on.
And move on with your life. You did a good turn, all the same. So there is all that.
I'd never thought about.
Because you see, when you adopt a child and it is your child, takes on your name.
Yeah. Takes on all the rights of a child.
They have all the rights. That even if I passed, my child cannot be discriminated against. He must get his inheritance. But that becomes a real issue on property. And we've had challenges because the adoption process is a bit bureaucratic, a bit cumbersome. These child rights organizations have done a lot of work in advocacy to smoothen the process for us as adoptive parents, to ensure that, for example, now the fostering is no longer 3 years.
3 years.
It was reduced to 1 year.
1 year.
Yes. And the person, you must be a resident in Uganda. There were people coming here, getting the kids from the homes, adopting them, flying out the next day.
I remember a certain celebrity couple that adopted child from Malawi, and it made news all over the world. Yeah.
So we thank God that the government of Uganda and the parliament, they had to revise the law.
But Sheila, why? Why is that a problem? We are giving a child a better shot at life regardless of...
You may assume you're giving a child a better shot out there, but yet this child is going to be abused.
Is it because the system has no jurisdiction?
The other side.
Okay.
And it doesn't have the capacity to investigate and follow up. Where was this child taken? Was this child sacrificed? Was this child organs sold?
I remembered the part where the system, the government stays involved along the journey all the way.
Yes. And now, in order for you to get adoption order, you must have resided here in Uganda for 1 year.
Okay.
So it has become very complicated for people flying in. You can't. You're living in the United States. You come here and reside here, get residence for 1 year, as you wait for this kid for you to get adoption. So I think that is now encouraging more Ugandans to go
This
through
whole
adoption.
adoptive thing.
Yes, and it's less painful. So for me, I am part of the
Adoptive Parents Initiative.
Initiative,
Yeah.
API. It is relatively new. We came together last year, and it was kind of like something. I think the current chair, who is Andrew Rugasira, had gone to Sanyu Baby's home where he got his son. His son is now 18, 20 years.
Wow.
So they had gone to, on his, as he was going to make 18, and he was going to go out of the country to go and study. They thought, we need to go now and get to terms with where I really came from. And it was a very emotional moment.
Tough conversation.
Yeah. And so Andrew and his family, when they were there, they asked, do other parents, the questions they are asking, do all these parents, where are they? Who take these kids? So the director at Sanyu Baby's home, who is Barbara Mutagubia, was like, we have some of their addresses, but you see, we don't have anything that brings us together.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. Like, can't we call a few of them and we come and sit together and brainstorm how can we support each other? Because each one of us, as I told you earlier, we went through our haggles.
Yes.
By just try and error. When you have no counseling, you have no support system.
No support
The
system.
moment
No one is guiding
nobody
you.
is guiding
You're
you.
just hearing.
Yes. So you don't know, you get into this emotional state where the child and the mother or the father, they all need help, including the kids who are found in the home.
Yes.
Because a number of us, sometimes people ask, by the way, why did you adopt? Is it because you were unable to have children?
That's
But
true.
you find that most times these kids, some families they adopt after having kids. This kid is in between, then others come
Then
along.
they get more.
Yes. So adoption doesn't mean that you have failed to have children and then you should have more. So when we came together, it was like I didn't know, for example, that Andrew had adopted a kid.
Get a child, yes.
So we meet on the table, we introduce each other, tell our stories, tell us about your experience. So we talk. First meeting, second meeting. You don't open up, of course, about some of these things in the first, second meeting. So eventually, we realized that we were all going through the same challenges.
Yeah.
And we are just around maybe 6 or 7 around the table. We're like, you know what?
If we are 7 here, then there are many more out there.
Many more out there. Around the table, I think it was only one person who had ever revealed,
Wow.
who had disclosed to his child that I adopted you, and who had the guts to walk this child to Sanyu and say, this is where I got you. So you can see
When they were old enough.
when they're old enough to go. But now we were given, because now we are dealing with people, psychologists, counselors, and what. We are told the earlier you do it, the better. This child has a right to know. The child, we can take it on. But the more you delay it, the more society, which is cruel to him or her when he's a kid, the things they will tell the child.
Yes, and the more shocked they'll be, and the likelihood that they may find out on their own. And then,
Now,
Sheila, you're very passionate about this. We have to close this conversation, but before we go, what should someone coming for the event on Saturday expect?
the people the people out there whom we are inviting to the event, we shall have different entities. We shall have the different homes, and this is celebration. So they will come with their children. There will be games and whatever. But most importantly, there will be information about adoption.
Yes.
There will be information will be given out, but there will be also different booths or bazaars where you can get information about the legal system and how it works towards adoption,
Okay.
but also where can I get adoption, where can I adopt a kid, or where can I get help? I have adopted a kid and I'm having challenges. Who can give me help? Are there counseling services? Are there psychologists that we can talk to? Because sometimes these kids, when they got into the school system, they have challenges to adjust academically.
Yes.
They have certain anxieties.
Yes.
Because the anxiety of being abandoned by your biological parent remains ingrained in this kid.
Yes.
Because I'm sure they woke up and said, "Where is mama? I want to to breastfeed. And I'm out here in the cold alone. What happened?" So those areas, we shall have some people to come out there and address them. And we hope that after this, the API, which is the Adoptive Parents Initiative, will continue offering support. We will continue coming out. We had a conference in March whereby we were able to give information. We realized the problem was bigger than what we thought. But we hope that we can work with different institutions, different organizations, the Ministry of Gender, the justice system, the Ministry of Justice, to ensure that we make adoption for kids really smooth sailing,
Yes.
but also encourage more parents to open their homes to get these kids, their Ugandans, their children, and we need them in safe families where they can thrive. And just closing, not all adopted children are cast, because Nelson Mandela was adopted, Steve Jobs was adopted, Bill Clinton was adopted, there is Monroe.
Miles Monroe.
She was adopted. So there are so many big figures out there.
Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn.
Yes.
She was adopted. So there are so many big figures out there who were adopted and became very useful global citizens.
We would not have the iPhone.
Definitely.
Sheila, I am seeing a number of partners with API, Sanyo Baby's Home, Crane, BEB, Dwelling Places, Child's Foundation, Katalemwa. Katalemwa is quite common. SOS Children's, Echisa, Wakisa, CGS, Wells of Hope. I didn't know we had many care homes in this country, Sheila.
And those are only in Kampala. When you go to every district, I think there is a home. You'll find in Fort Portal, there is Toro Baby, Kabarole, I think it's Toro Baby's Home. So there are many, many homes across the country.
Sheila, my last question is personal.
Yes.
You have lived a long, eventful life, worked across careers, met so many people, reported in a war zone, and you're here almost hitting the 6th floor and you're making younger people look bad. What's your secret? What inspires you?
I think what really inspires me to do most of the things I do is the passion. When I get into something, I get into it with all the passion. Because the areas where I have been, they were eventful, but also I got in when they're like exciting.
Yeah.
So you have this passion, we have to change this. We have to do something about it.
Yeah.
So it is the passion that pushes me, and I think knowing God always regenerates you.
Yes.
Because if you have a mission, if you have something to fulfill, there's no way God is going to make you wake up with low energy levels. So you'll always have full energy because He knows you're going to do work out there that requires that energy. You're going to create a change that He needs done.
Yes.
And then He'll bring together people with similar energy. So I'm always attracted to people with the same energy I have to change certain things in our society.
Basically, always position yourself and tell God, here I am your tool, use me.
Exactly.
Sheila, I'm not sure, where can people find you? You're a retired journalist, can I say that?
No, journalists don't do it. Journalists and politicians.
You said you're all about passion and all. Right now, my prayer is that you can be passionate about Studio 84 and send us a lot of business here. Anyway, you have a consultancy or something. just tell us where people can find you and the work you're doing now actively.
Yes, currently I'm a proprietor
Yes.
of Tembuzi Cultural Fun Park.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Tembuzi Cultural Fun Park, we are located around the Namugongo, Chirasonde area.
Yes.
And it is a big park with over 14 acres.
Yes.
Fully planted green. And again, the passion for that park was to enable families to go out there and connect, to enable people to connect with nature.
Yes.
So we do a lot of team building activities, family events, weddings, and we can host up to 6 to 8 functions at any one particular time.
So good.
So it is an interesting passion because currently we are having people locked up in apartments. From apartments, they are locked up in offices, even when
in their cars.
In their cars. So there is a lot of stress, and you feel it if you've been driving on the road. There is a lot of road rage. So Tembuzi Cultural Fun Park offers that kind of serenity. When you get there, connecting with the green, connecting with nature, hearing birds sing, and you don't have to drive kilometers and hours of traffic jam to get out of Kampala. It's just here, close to Kampala.
I'll make sure my editor shows some images of Tembuzi as we have this conversation. And you know, we all take time before we see the moon, because when we look up in the night, all we see is lights, security lights.
Yes, yes.
No wonder when we go to the villages, the moon is so bright, we're like, what?
What happened?
Thank you very much, Sheila. Viewers, this has been Sheila Mishambi Kawamara from Tembuzi. But right now, the conversation this month, is about adoptive parents. And when you're invited, or if you're invited for the event, please show up and adopt a child and make a difference in someone's life. Until the next conversation at Business Chronicles, thank you. Thank you very much, Sheila.
Thank you, Solomon, for hosting us.